There comes a point in every galactic conflict when someone makes a catastrophic miscalculation. For the Vorn hegemony, that moment arrived when Admiral Dres Karl decided that humans would be easily subjugated and psychologically vulnerable. As his second communications officer, I had front-row seats to what would become the most spectacular military blunder in 7,000 cycles of hegemony history. Target their colony on Proxima Centauri B, Dres Karl had ordered, his 4 sets of mandibles clicking in that irritating way that meant he was feeling particularly clever. A swift strike. Show them what happens when primitives refuse reasonable tribute demands. I, Vex Loran, had studied the humans longer than anyone else aboard the dreadnought Inevitable Dominance. For 6 rotations, I'd monitored their communications, their entertainment broadcasts, their historical archives. I knew this was a terrible idea. Sir, I ventured, my voice modulator carefully adjusted to convey proper deference. Perhaps we should reconsider. The human historical records indicate. Their historical records? Dres Karl interrupted with a gurgling laugh that made his throat sac bulge obscenely. Next you will tell me their fictional entertainment contains tactical insights. These creatures only emerged from their gravity well a century ago. They have never faced a proper space-faring civilization. The bridge crew tittered dutifully. I noticed First Tactical Officer Zerpel giving me a warning glance from across the command deck. His central eye blinked rapidly, the Vorn equivalent of rolling eyes. They have only established 3 extrasolar colonies, Dres Karl continued. Their fleet consists of under 50 military vessels, most of which are stationed around their homeworld. They have no energy shields, no quantum weaponry, no faster-than-light communications. They are insects compared to us. The attack commenced 12 units later. We obliterated the orbital defense platforms above Proxima Centauri B in seconds. B, the human colony of New Anchorage, population 178,000, had no meaningful planetary defenses. The Admiral authorized a limited bombardment of their administrative center to, as he put it, adjust their perspective on cooperation. 3,000 humans died in the first strike. We expected immediate capitulation. Instead, we received an audio-only transmission from Earth. No video feed, just a calm, measured voice identified as Admiral Kwan of United Earth Defense. "This is your only warning," said the human. "Withdraw immediately from Proxima Centauri. There will be no further communication until you do so." The bridge erupted in laughter. "Or what?" Dres Karl replied. "You will throw rocks at us? Perhaps harsh language is your secret weapon? You have exactly 1 cycle to surrender your colonies and agree to our terms of vassalage, or we will reduce New Anchorage to molten slag." The human admiral didn't respond. The transmission simply ended. "See?" Dres Karl gestured grandly to the bridge crew. "They understand now. They will spend their cycle panicking and then submit. It's the sensible choice." I wasn't convinced. During my research, I'd come across a human concept they called fuck around and find out. I had a growing suspicion we were in the finding out phase. 40 units into the cycle, our sensors detected unusual activity. "Sir," reported Sensor Officer Trag Vos, "the humans appear to be evacuating their colony. We are detecting numerous atmospheric launches." "Let them flee," Dres Karl waved dismissively. "They will return once we own them properly." Then our long-range scanners detected something peculiar at the edge of the system. 6 human vessels had appeared, seemingly from nowhere. They weren't on an approach vector. They were just waiting. "What are they doing?" Dres Karl demanded. "Those aren't even warships. 2 appear to be cargo haulers, and the others are too small to be threats. Are they sending their merchants to negotiate?" I consulted my database. "Sir, based on their silhouettes, those appear to be civilian mining vessels and waste disposal ships?" The Admiral's laughter echoed through the command deck. "They are sending garbage collectors to face a hegemony dreadnought. These creatures are more deluded than I thought." But something wasn't right. The vessels were arranging themselves in a peculiar formation, and our scanners couldn't penetrate their hulls properly. Sir, I said carefully, humans have a concept called repurposing. They are remarkably adept at converting civilian technology for military applications. Nonsense, Dres Karl scoffed. Even if they converted those ships, they have no weapons that could threaten us. Our shields can withstand anything their primitive technology can produce. Then the human ships launched something toward us. Not missiles or energy weapons, but containers? Hundreds of them, propelled at incredible speed. Evasive action. Zerpel shouted, but it was too late. The containers exploded before impact, creating a cloud of particulate matter. Our shields flared as they attempted to block the microscopic fragments, but they weren't designed to stop such tiny projectiles. It was like trying to stop a liquid with a fishing net. What is this? Dres Karl bellowed as warning lights flashed across the command console. They have launched some kind of dust? Tragvos sounded confused. It's abrading our hull. Minimal damage, but it's everywhere. Radiator efficiency dropping. External sensors degrading. Dust. The Admiral spat. They attack a hegemony dreadnought with dust. That's when I realized what was happening. Sir, I believe it's powdered industrial diamond and metal particles. They have created a cloud of microscopic cutting material that's essentially sandblasting our ship. A primitive annoyance, Dres Karl growled. Target those vessels and destroy them. Our weapons officer tried, but with external sensors partially blinded by the abrasive cloud, targeting was imprecise. The human ships were already moving, scattering in different directions. Then our communications array picked up a transmission, not directed at us, but between the human vessels. Phase 1 complete. Admiral, said a voice. The kitten is covered in glitter and very upset about it. Good work, replied another voice, the same Admiral Quan from earlier. Proceed to Phase 2. Let's see how they like their new jewelry. What are they talking about? Dres Karl demanded. Translate properly. That is the proper translation, sir, I replied, mystified myself. They appear to be speaking in some kind of code. The Admiral was about to respond when Tactical Officer Zerpel shouted, Sir, multiple small objects attaching to our hull. They appear to have been hidden within the particulate cloud. Our external cameras showed dozens of small devices adhering to our ship. Before we could analyze them, they activated simultaneously. The entire dreadnought shuddered as synchronized explosives detonated, not to breach the hull, but to create vibration. The precisely calculated frequencies sent shock waves throughout the ship's structure, shattering delicate components and disrupting our artificial gravity. Crew members flew in all directions as gravity failed. Emergency systems struggled to compensate. Then came another transmission from the humans. Phase 2 complete. The kitten now has bells on its collar and is having an existential crisis. I want those ships destroyed now. Dres Karl bellowed, floating awkwardly as the gravity stabilized. Sir, warned the weapons officer, they are staying in formation with us, using our hull as a shield against our own weapons. We can't target them without risking damage to ourselves. That's when the largest human vessel, the one identified as a waste disposal ship, moved into position directly above our bridge and extended what appeared to be a large mechanical arm. What is it doing? Dres Karl demanded. The arm connected to our hull with a resounding clang that echoed through the command deck. They have attached something to us, sir, reported Tragvos. It appears to be drilling. Indeed, the humans had attached what was essentially a giant mining drill to our dreadnought and were boring directly into our command section. Our shields were designed to repel high-energy impacts and radiation, not a physical object that had already bypassed them. Phase 3 initiated, came the human transmission. The kitten is getting its temperature taken the traditional way. I knew exactly what that meant, having studied human veterinary practices, but decided this wasn't the time to explain the reference to the Admiral. Reroute power to the structural integrity field. Dres Karl ordered, and launch all interceptors. I want those human ships atomized. Our interceptors launched, but as they cleared the dreadnought's docking bays, they encountered yet another unpleasant surprise. The space around our ship was now filled with what appeared to be caltrops. Space caltrops? Thousands of simple metal objects with sharp protrusions in all directions, floating in precisely calculated patterns. 3 interceptors were immediately disabled, their delicate maneuvering thrusters punctured by the primitive but effective hazards. These 4 complete, we heard. The dog park is full of landmines. Repeat, the dog park is full of landmines. Meanwhile, the drilling continued. Alarms blared as the human device breached our outer hull layers. Sir, I suggested, perhaps we should consider withdrawing to assess the situation? These tactics are unorthodox. Retreat from primitives with mining equipment and garbage. Dres Karl's throat sack inflated with rage. Never. Activate the secondary weapons array. Target their homeworld. Let's see how clever they feel when Earth's oceans are boiling. That was another catastrophic miscalculation. The moment we began charging our long-range planet cracker beam, all 6 human vessels suddenly broke formation and accelerated away at maximum speed. They are retreating. Dres Karl crowed. They have realized their foolishness. I wasn't so sure. Sir, they are moving in a very specific pattern. Too late, I realized what was happening. The human ships had positioned themselves at precise coordinates around our dreadnought. As they retreated, tethers deployed from each vessel, unveiling what had been hiding in their wake, a mesh network of superconducting wire now completely surrounding our ship. The moment our weapon began discharging energy, the wire mesh lit up. It wasn't meant to contain the energy, it was meant to redirect it. Phase 5 active, came the transmission. The cat thought the cucumber was a snake. The energy from our own weapon cascaded through the conductive mesh, creating a feedback loop that sent power surges throughout our systems. Circuit breakers failed. Power conduits exploded. The lights on the command deck flickered and died. Emergency power only, reported engineering, their voice tight with panic. Main reactor in emergency shutdown. Weapons offline. Shields offline. Propulsion offline. In the dim emergency lighting, Admiral Dres Karl's bioluminescent patches glowed with fury. This is impossible. They are savages. They can't have defeated a hegemony dreadnought with mining tools and trash. That's when our hull breach sensors went crazy. The drilling had stopped, not because it had failed, but because it had succeeded. The humans had breached our hull completely. Sir, Tactical Officer Zerpel's voice was barely a whisper. We are being boarded. The internal sensors showed them dozens of human figures in environmental suits, pouring through the breach like water. They moved with shocking speed and coordination, disabling our crew with some kind of chemical spray before they could even draw weapons. Final phase initiated, came Admiral Kwan's voice once more. The spider is being relocated with a glass and paper. I repeat, catch and release procedure in effect. That was when I realized something crucial. The humans weren't here to destroy us. They could have done that already. They were here to capture us. Sir, I said to Dres Karl, whose mandibles were now clicking in fear rather than arrogance, I suggest immediate surrender. The humans have a concept they call proportional response. They are showing remarkable restraint. Restraint? He hissed. They have crippled a hegemony dreadnought. Yes, I agreed, using repurposed mining equipment and waste disposal tools. Imagine what they could do if they actually tried to build weapons. The command deck doors slid open. 3 humans entered, their faces obscured behind mirrored visors. 2 held simple projectile weapons. The third, slightly taller, carried nothing but a small device that I recognized as a translator. I am Captain Talia Rivera, the tall human announced, her voice distorted by the translator. Your ship is now under United Earth control. Your crew will not be harmed if they cooperate. Admiral Dres Karl, Supreme Commander of the Third Fleet of the Vorn Hegemony, conqueror of 7 solar systems, terror of the galactic rim, did the only sensible thing. He fainted. Way? He fainted. Captain Rivera looked at me, the only crew member who hadn't backed away in terror. You are the communications officer who tried to warn him, aren't you? We monitored your bridge transmissions. I straightened my posture, my secondary limbs tucked respectfully. Vex Loren, second communications officer. How may I assist you, Captain? She tilted her head slightly. Tell me, Vex Loren, did your leaders truly believe we would be easy targets? A regrettable misunderstanding of human nature, I replied. One I tried to prevent. And what did you understand that they didn't? I considered carefully before answering. That humans evolved on a death world. That everything about your biology suggests you shouldn't have survived, let alone thrived. That your historical records show thousands of years of warfare against yourselves, owning your tactics. That you are the only known species that underwent an extinction-level event and then said, let's do that again, but bigger. And most importantly, yes, she prompted, that we have only seen humans playing nice. We never considered what would happen if we made you actually try. Captain Rivera nodded slowly. A fair assessment. She gestured to her companions. Secure the bridge. I need to inform Admiral Kwan that the classroom demonstration is complete. As the humans took control of our systems with disturbing efficiency, I realized with growing dread that this entire encounter, this humiliating defeat of our most advanced warship, had been nothing more than a demonstration. A teaching moment. And the lesson was just beginning. 3 standard cycles passed since the humiliating capture of the inevitable dominance. I found myself in an unexpected position, liaison between the Vorn hegemony prisoners and our human captors. Captain Rivera had recognized my understanding of human psychology as valuable. Admiral Dres Karl, meanwhile, languished in comfortable but secure quarters, his authority stripped away along with his ceremonial armor. We weren't on a prison planet or labor camp as hegemony propaganda had always depicted alien detention facilities. Instead, the humans had transported us to a spacious orbital station around Jupiter. They called it Diplomatic Reception Center 7. Though I noted the human guards occasionally referred to it as Timeout Corner when they thought we couldn't hear. Officer Vex Loren, Captain Rivera greeted me as I entered the conference room for our daily briefing. How are your people adjusting today? As well as can be expected, I replied, settling my exoskeleton into the specially designed seating accommodation. Though Chief Engineer Graz Teal continues to demand information about what you have done with our dreadnought. Rivera smiled. This facial expression had initially terrified my colleagues, as humans were the only known sentient species whose threat display resembled a friendly gesture. I'd learned to appreciate the nuance. He will see it soon enough, she said, tapping a datapad. That's actually why I called you here today. Admiral Kwan has authorized a special demonstration for the hegemony leadership. Your people will be allowed to witness a live feed from the Sol system defense exercises tomorrow. My scent glands released a burst of surprised pheromones before I could control them. That's unusually transparent. The hegemony would never allow defeated enemies to observe military operations. We are not the hegemony, Rivera said simply. Besides, this isn't classified technology. It's a standard public demonstration, the kind we conduct annually for our civilian population. I processed this information. You show your weapons capabilities to your own civilians. Regularly? Of course. Transparency in defense spending builds public trust. She tilted her head. Your reaction suggests this concept is foreign to you. In the hegemony, military developments are strictly classified. Civilians are told only what they need to know, which is essentially nothing. Rivera nodded thoughtfully. Cultural differences. Speaking of which, I have been authorized to inform you that your sovereign assembly has agreed to preliminary peace talks. This news was both relieving and concerning. The sovereign assembly wouldn't negotiate unless they felt threatened. What had transpired during my absence? That's unexpected, I admitted. The assembly typically doesn't engage with species that have demonstrated hostility. Captain Rivera's expression turned serious. They didn't have much choice after what happened at Bellatrix. My primary heart skipped a beat. Bellatrix? What occurred at Bellatrix? Rivera studied me for a moment, then slid her datapad across the table. This might be difficult to watch. The screen displayed orbital footage of Bellatrix Vi, home to the hegemony's largest shipyard outside our home system. Or rather, what had been the shipyard. Where once hung the skeletal frames of a dozen dreadnoughts under construction, there was now only debris. The massive orbital platforms, engineering stations, and defense arrays had been reduced to scattered fragments. "How?" I whispered, my voice modulator failing to disguise my shock. "We had 2 full battle groups protecting that installation." "You still do," Rivera replied. "They are intact. Not a single Vorn warship was damaged." "I don't understand." "We didn't touch your ships. We didn't need to." She reached over and tapped the screen, changing the view to show an enormous crater on the moon of Bellatrix V. "Do you recognize this?" I did. It was the location of the hegemony's primary antimatter production facility. "You bombarded a moon?" "No bombardment," Rivera corrected. "One ship, one weapon, one demonstration." The footage changed again, showing a small human vessel, barely larger than a courier ship, approaching Bellatrix Vi's moon. It released what appeared to be a single projectile, then immediately jumped to FTL. The projectile burrowed into the moon's surface. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then, a flash of light so intense that the camera's filters couldn't fully compensate. When the image cleared, a quarter of the moon was simply gone. Not fragmented, not shattered. Gone, as if it had never existed, leaving behind a perfectly smooth concave surface. "What manner of weapon does this?" My voice emerged as barely more than static. "We call it a dimensional anchor charge," Rivera explained. "It creates a temporary connection between our universe and a neighboring dimension with different physical constants. The resulting energy differential does the rest." "And this technology, you developed it for defense?" "Actually, no, it was a byproduct of research into renewable energy production. One of our physicists was exploring alternate energy sources and accidentally discovered the principle. Very similar to how we discovered nuclear fission, really." The casual way she mentioned stumbling upon civilization-ending technology as a side effect of energy research sent cold dread through my nervous system. "Captain," I said carefully, "if I may ask, why show me this?" "As warning?" Rivera looked genuinely surprised. "Warning?" "No, context. You are helping us understand your culture, so it's only fair we help you understand ours." She leaned forward slightly. "Your admiral attacked a civilian colony, killing 3,000 people. The hegemony expected immediate surrender or escalation to full-scale war. Instead, we captured one ship with minimal casualties and conducted one demonstration on an uninhabited moon. To show restraint, I realized aloud. Precisely. We could have targeted your homeworld. We didn't. We could have destroyed your fleet. We didn't. We could have killed your admiral and crew. We didn't." Her gaze was steady. "We want your assembly to understand that what they have seen isn't humans being vicious. It's humans being measured." The following day, all 342 Vorn prisoners were assembled in what the humans called a theater to witness the Sol system defense exercises. Admiral Dres Karl sat in the front row, his posture rigid with forced dignity. The display activated, showing hundreds of human vessels in formation around the gas giant Neptune. Not warships as we understood them, these were a hodgepodge of designs. Converted cargo haulers bristling with weapon emplacements. Civilian craft retrofitted with military-grade shields, dedicated warships that resembled nothing so much as flying artillery platforms, sacrificing aesthetics for pure functionality. Admiral Kwan appeared on screen, addressing not us, but apparently the human civilian audience for whom this demonstration was primarily intended. Citizens of Earth and her colonies, Today marks the 15th annual transparency demonstration of the United Earth Defense Force. As always, we will be displaying only non-classified systems and capabilities that are already known to the general public. My translator almost glitched trying to process this statement. These were the non-classified capabilities. What followed was 90 minutes of increasingly disturbing demonstrations. Human ships working in concert to create gravity lenses that bent light around entire battle groups, rendering them invisible. Swarms of automated drones that could absorb incredible amounts of energy weapons fire while protecting larger vessels. Missiles that didn't explode but instead released self-replicating nanomachines that methodically disassembled target drones atom by atom. But most disturbing was what they called Project Lazarus. A seemingly ordinary cruiser took a direct hit from a weapon that vaporized nearly half the vessel. By all logic, it should have been destroyed. Instead, the damaged sections began to regenerate, specialized fabrication systems rebuilding the ship in real time. Self-healing spacecraft, murmured Zerpel beside me. Not repair systems, actual regeneration. When the demonstration concluded, the theater remained silent. No Vorn spoke. Many seemed unable to even move. Captain Rivera entered the room, accompanied by a human I hadn't seen before, an older female with short silver hair and the insignia of high command. "Allow me to introduce Admiral Kwan," Rivera announced. The same Admiral Kwan who had warned us at Proxima Centauri. The same voice that had coordinated our capture. She looked ordinary, not particularly tall or muscular. No obvious signs of augmentation or enhancements. Just an aging human female with keen eyes that surveyed our assembly. "Admiral Dres-Karl," she nodded to our disgraced commander. I trust the demonstration was informative. Dres-Karl's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. If this display was meant to intimidate us into surrender. Intimidation. Kwan raised an eyebrow. "Admiral, this was our standard public demonstration. The technology on display is at least 15 years obsolete. We show it to our school children. A ripple of pheromonal distress spread through the assembled Vorn. Impossible." Dres-Karl sputtered. "No species develops military technology at such a rate." "We don't develop it primarily for military applications," Kwan corrected. "Most of what you saw began as civilian technology." The self-healing ships? Adapted from medical regeneration techniques. The gravity lenses? Originally designed for astronomical observation. The nanomachine disassemblers. Mining technology. She stepped closer to Dres-Karl, her voice lowering. "We are not naturally warlike, Admiral. We are naturally curious. We are naturally innovative. We are naturally adaptive. We turned mining tools against your dreadnought not because we lack dedicated weapons, but to send a message. Even our simplest technologies are dangerous in the hands of a species evolved to survive on Earth." Dres-Karl vibrated with rage. "The hegemony will never bow to threats. We have conquered dozens of systems over thousands of cycles. Admiral Kwan wasn't intimidated. You have conquered chemical rocket civilizations and pre-industrial worlds. You have subjugated species that evolved on garden planets with stable environments. You are bullies, Admiral Dres-Karl, and you just picked a fight with the wrong playground. We evolved on a high-gravity world." Dres-Karl protested. "Our exoskeletons can withstand pressures that would crush humans." "Congratulations," Kwan replied dryly. "We evolved on a world where everything is trying to kill you. Our atmospheric oxygen content is high enough to make planetary forest fires a regular occurrence. Our weather systems include tornadoes that can fling debris at supersonic speeds. Our tectonic plates regularly reshape entire continents. Our largest land predators could bite through your exoskeleton like candy, and our smallest microbes could dissolve you from the inside out." She gestured toward the screens, which still showed the aftermath of the demonstration. "We didn't become dangerous because we wanted to. We became dangerous because we had to. Every technology you saw today exists because at some point we needed to solve a problem to survive." It was then that I noticed something I'd missed earlier. The human ships weren't just displaying their capabilities. They were forming a defensive perimeter around Neptune. Admiral, I spoke up. May I ask why this demonstration is taking place at Neptune specifically? Quan turned to me with an approving nod. Observant. Officer Vexloran, isn't it? The translator mentioned you have been helpful. She pointed to the screen. We are protecting our newest large-scale settlement. 20,000 colonists building a floating city in Neptune's upper atmosphere, rich in helium-3 and other resources difficult to obtain elsewhere. You are colonizing gas giants? Zerpel exclaimed, unable to contain himself. That's technologically challenging. Quan finished for him. But the view is spectacular, worth the engineering hurdles. The implications hit me like a gravity wave. Humans weren't just defending established territories. They were expanding into environments that most species considered uninhabitable. Gas giants, asteroid fields, planets with crushing gravity or toxic atmospheres, places where the hegemony had never bothered to look because we couldn't imagine living there. The peace conference, I said suddenly, understanding dawning. Your terms will include full access to your colonization technologies, won't they? Admiral Quan's face showed that human expression, the smile, but there was something different about it. Something predatory. Smart. Very smart, she said. Yes. Yes, that's our primary demand. The hegemony will accept human colonization methods and environmental adaptation technologies in exchange for peace. We aren't interested in your existing worlds. We want the worlds you can't use, the storms of gas giants, the methane oceans, the high radiation moons, the places your biology limits you from exploiting. Admiral Dres Karl finally understood. You are not conquering us, you are expanding around us. Precisely. The galaxy is vast, and most of it is considered uninhabitable by conventional standards. But humans don't accept conventional limitations. Quan gestured to the assembled Vorn. You will all be returned to the hegemony unharmed following the peace conference. You will take with you knowledge of what humanity is capable of when provoked, but also what we offer as allies. As the implications settled over the assembly, I found myself wondering how the hegemony would adapt to this new paradigm. We had encountered many species in our expansion, but never one that viewed the most hostile environments in the galaxy and thought, what a lovely place to live. 3 days later, as preparations began for our return to hegemony space, Captain Rivera sought me out one final time. Officer Vex Loren, she said, I have been authorized to offer you a choice. A choice? You can return with your people, or, she hesitated, you can stay. As an official cultural liaison, your insights have been valuable, and we believe they'd continue to be in the diplomatic corps. I considered the offer. Return to a hegemony that would likely blame the messengers for the humiliation they'd suffered, or remain with the humans, these bizarre Deathworlders who turned mining equipment into weapons and gas giants into colonies. Would I be permitted to observe more of human culture? To study how you have adapted to such diverse environments? That would be your job, Rivera confirmed. Complete access, minimal restrictions. And what happens when the Sovereign Assembly inevitably ignores the warnings and tests human patience again? Rivera's expression turned serious. Then you'd witness firsthand what happens when humans stop playing nice. When we stop using repurposed mining tools and civilian technology. When we actually deploy our real military capabilities. You'd trust me with such knowledge? Trust has to begin somewhere. She extended her hand, a human gesture of agreement I'd studied. Besides, perhaps having someone who truly understands what humanity is capable of will help prevent unnecessary conflict. I extended my primary manipulator and completed the gesture. Captain Rivera. I believe I have just witnessed the beginning of a fundamental shift in galactic politics. The hegemony has always believed that strength comes from evolution on challenging worlds. We were partly right. What we fail to understand is that true strength isn't about surviving your environment. No? She prompted. It's about mastering it, adapting it, making the uninhabitable habitable. That's what makes humans terrifying, not your weapons or your ships or your tactics. It's your refusal to accept limitations. Rivera nodded. A fair assessment. So will you stay? I thought of Admiral Dres Karl, still refusing to accept how thoroughly he'd miscalculated. I thought of the Sovereign Assembly, who would likely dismiss all warnings until it was too late. I thought of future conflicts that might arise from misunderstanding. Yes, I decided, I will stay, if only to document what happens when a species evolves on a death world and then decides that every other world should be just as comfortable as home. As we sealed the agreement, a transmission came through on Rivera's communicator. Her expression changed as she listened, becoming the careful neutral mask I'd learned humans adopt when receiving concerning news. It seems your timing is excellent, she said after closing the channel. We have just received word that a hegemony battle group has entered the Epsilon Indi system, apparently unaware of recent developments. Epsilon Indi? I felt my blood run cold. That's where humans are establishing the methane sea colony. Yes, 3,000 civilians, minimal defense systems. Her eyes met mine. It seems your first official duty as liaison will be to witness what happens when humans protect their people from actual threats. You will deploy the dimensional anchor charges? I asked, dreading the answer. No. Rivera's voice had taken on a new quality, something cold and ancient that seemed to echo from deep in human evolutionary history. Those were just to get the Assembly's attention. Now they will see what happens when we actually try. As alarms began to sound throughout the station and the human military personnel moved with practiced efficiency to battle stations, I realized that the hegemony was about to learn the most important lesson about Deathworlders. You don't evaluate a predator's capabilities by what it shows you. You evaluate them by what it keeps hidden. And humans, I was beginning to understand, had been hiding a great deal.